Hello board game brothers and sisters, and welcome to another video where I'll be letting you know of Kickstarters launching this week. There's a lot to cover this week, so let's jump straight to it. First one I have for you is on June 16th, and it's Terraforming Mars, Big Box Edition. And I'm just going to cover this one quickly because they didn't end up launching last week, so they're going to be launching this week instead. The only new information I have on this is they released an image of what the box will look like, and it's pretty massive. If you want to know more, check out my video from last week. I'll leave a link up here. Also on the 16th, we have a new game from Peterson Games, and it's called Dinosaur 1944. And this is a game for 1 to 4 players, and it takes 90 to 120 minutes to play. And in this game, you and your friends are soldiers during World War II sent to investigate enemy activity. But what you find is much worse. It turns out mad scientists are using this area to test out their time machine, and they're bringing dinosaurs to the present day. Not only this, but they're training them and enhancing them with performance-improving drugs. This is a fully cooperative game that's part battle, part tower defense, and you're going to be facing stronger and stronger hordes of beasts as the game goes on. At the end of a game, you have a boss battle, and if you win that, you win the game. This looks like it offers the core game at a pretty nice price. I have a lot of respect for Sandy Peterson and Peterson Games, but just be careful backing this if you intend to go all in, because they tend to add a lot of extra add-ons and expansions that by the end of the campaign can be pushing up an all-in pledge to close to $1,000. Also on the 16th, we have Monumental, African Empires, and this is an expansion for the Monumental game. It plays 1 to 5 players and takes 90 to 120 minutes to play, and this expansion adds new civilizations and gameplay mechanics, including quests and a new continuous play mode and advanced economics. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of info on this one. Next, we have Ambal Tournament Foundations, and it plays 2 to 4 players and takes 20 to 30 minutes to play. This is a combat card game where you're going to be building your own deck and customizing it to fight against your friends. Duels can be 1-on-1 or 2-on-2, and this game primarily uses simultaneous reveals for the combat mechanism. Thematically, the purpose of these duels are to hone your skills and practice so that you become a better fighter and you can protect Ambal amongst the elite fighters. Next, we have 𝗚𝗺𝗲 and I also don't have too much info on this, but it looks like an educational card game that incorporates historical figures and will likely teach about them throughout the game. I should probably play this because my history is pretty rough, and the only one I recognize here is Charlie Chaplin. Next, I have one that looks really interesting, and it's called Radioactive Bees, and it plays 2 to 4 players and takes 30 to 60 minutes to play. This is a strategy game where you're going to be building a post-apocalyptic beehive. In this game, you're going to be stacking and laying tiles and raising the radioactivity of your bees to gain points. You're also going to be blocking your opponent from doing the same. The BGG page has a breakdown of the rules, so if you want to know more, I'll leave a link in the description below. Next, we have the Spellslingers X Otherworlds crossover. I think that's what that means. I'm not familiar with this IP, but it's a standalone expansion for Spellslingers. This introduces 12 new characters, and each character is inspired by the Otherworlds tabletop RPG. This incorporates a new mechanism called Reveal that allows you to use a card simply by revealing it. These cards tend to be a little weaker than the other cards, and if I'm understanding correctly, that makes them harder to keep in your hand. Next, we have SeaRovers, and it plays 1 to 4 players and takes 1 to 3 hours to play. This game is set in the late 17th and early 18th centuries, and SeaRover recreates true stories of pirates in the Spanish Main. Something really neat about this game is that it's historically accurate and actually features locations from actual pirate attacks. This game combines card play and hand management, dice-based combat, attacks, and saving rolls. And of course, it also has pickup and delivery. Next, we have Bad Guy Nonsense, and it plays 2 to 4 players and takes only 15 to 20 minutes to play. Bad Guy Nonsense is a family card game where you compete to catch fantastical bad guys from pulp culture. You'll be trying to score combos to catch the bad guys, and you'll also be trying to steal bad guys from your opponents while trying to defend your own. The game ends when the deck runs out, so it gets tense later in the game. There's also special cards that get drawn throughout the game that cause chaos to all the players involved. And the next game we have is the Age of Atlantis, and it plays 1 to 4 players and takes about 90 minutes to play. This is a competitive engine-building civilization-style game. Each of you are trying to become the most politically powerful by growing your house's population, discovering new technologies and cultures, and defending your city. While you're doing all this, you're also going to be trying to keep the god Poseidon happy. He's the god who looks over Atlantis, and if he decides to unleash his fury, then Atlantis becomes flooded. If areas of the board get flooded, then whatever was established there gets returned to the player. So what I've been doing on my weekly Reddit posts is I've been selecting a game each week that I think shows a lot of potential, and I think that's something I'd like to incorporate into these videos as well. So for this reason, I'm going to be letting you know that Age of Atlantis is my pick of the week. And there's actually a lot of reasons why I selected this one, but the main one is that 𝗬𝗏𝗄 has done such a great job of playtesting their game. Whenever someone asks me for advice on what they can do to make their games better, the first thing I always ask is their playtesting. It's great to create a game you love all on your own, but at the end of the day, all these designers are creating a game that they want other people to enjoy, and the only way you're ever going to reach that is if you get them to play it and get them to give you feedback. And this is exactly what 𝗬𝗏𝗄 has been doing, and I didn't have to dig hard to figure that out. One other piece of advice that I want to give to all game designers out there is that if you are doing the hard work to get external playtesters, make sure to ask them to post on BGG a review and to let everyone know what they thought about playing the game. Even if it's not a glowing review, it shows to the community that you are doing the hard work and the due diligence required to make your game the best that it can be. If I'm really interested in a game, especially those by new designers, the first thing I do is go on BGG and check out the ratings section. The nice thing about ratings is that you can filter by comments, and this will let you know right away if their game has been play tested. If there aren't comments, it doesn't mean that it hasn't been, but you'll just have to do a little bit more digging, which I had to do with 𝗬𝗏𝗄. So I do believe this is going to be a really good game. But on top of that, I was seeing a lot of positive responses from the playtesters, which really reinforces that opinion. Another neat thing about this game is that the rulebook is only 4 pages long, and I will never complain about a rulebook that respects my time. This company has already released a lot of really beautiful and well-loved games, so I'm really looking forward to this one, and I recommend that you check it out. The next game we have is called Night Cage, and it plays 2 to 6 players and takes 40 to 60 minutes to play. And in Night Cage, you awaken in the dark, your skin cold and your mind blank. You have nothing but fear, a flickering candle, and a question. How long will your light last? This game seems to have a really fun theme where you and your party are trapped in a maze that's completely dark and all you have is a candle to light your way home. You're going to be searching through the darkness trying to escape the maze, but only the path within your candlelight remains constant, and any paths that fade into the darkness will be completely changed if you try to go back to them. To win the game, players must each collect a key, find the gate, and escape as a group. This isn't going to be so easy because not only are you trapped in darkness within a maze, but there's also monsters lurking at every corner ready to strike. And next we have an expansion for Dwarven Smithy called the Masterforge expansion. This creates a new marketplace area where all players will have access to new contract, prospector, and equipment cards. Equipment cards function like item cards in the base game, prospectors function like resources, and finally the contract cards give you bonus money when you complete an item. In addition to the new marketplace, the game adds 2-sided trait cards, each giving players new abilities during the game. Last thing this adds is the optional auction phase, where players can choose to auction off one item in their hand. The next campaign I want to cover just quickly because it's not really a board game, but it is from a board game company, and it's Renegade Games Board Game Puzzles. This is going to include art from 𝗠𝗵𝗃𝗄𝗃, 𝗦𝗵𝗵𝗹𝗁, Beth Sobel, and Heather Vaughn. I don't know if it's going to be just these 4 games or if there's going to be more added throughout the campaign. And the last game I have for you on the 16th is called Overlord, a Boss Monster Adventure, and it plays 2 to 4 players, and it's the first Boss Monster spin-off game. This is going to be featuring the same retro villains from the Boss Monster game, but in this game, players are going to be drafting token and terrain tiles, and they're going to be competing to construct the deadliest overworld using those tiles. I believe you'll also be able to boost the points you get by placing monster tokens in strategic patterns. This sort of sounds like a retro monster version of Carcassonne, which I'm kind of cool with. And then on June 17th, we have a really unique game that's called 𝗬𝗺𝗲 𝗟𝗶𝗍, and it plays 2 players and takes 30 to 120 minutes to play. In this game, you and your opponent are leaders of opposing cities. And of course, your goal is to destroy the other city. Each player starts with 4 guild towers, support components, and 24 wall stones. You'll actually be building your wall in a limited time using these stones and supports to protect your towers. After that, you're going to be shooting dice at the opponent's city using the included catapult. You'll be gaining coins throughout the game that you can spend on tower upgrades, strategy cards, and to gain access to your tower's super shot. And then finally on June 18th, I have another one for you that's called Veil of Ruin, The Lost Touch. This is a brand new 5e D&D adventure package that leads you and your party deep into the fantastical post-apocalyptic world of 𝗏𝗏𝗄𝗏. This comes with a few really nice miniatures, and there's a lot of great info and images on their Kickstarter page that I'll leave in the description below. Next, I'm going to let you know what I backed last week, but first I'm going to let you know how you can help out the channel while also getting something nice for yourself. There's a really nice website called kickstartedgames.com that often sells kickstarted versions of games. This means that if you check back there occasionally, you'll be able to find those deluxeified versions of the games that you're no longer able to get. I like to pop on there from time to time just to search certain keywords and see what's available. And anything you buy from there, a small percentage will come back to support this channel and help me to create more content like this that I create for free for the board game community. So definitely check that out if you have a game you're planning to buy anyway. Also, I recommend signing up to their email list because they actually do monthly monthly giveaways. So since Terraforming Mars Big Box didn't get released last week, I only ended up backing one campaign. And this campaign was for Fire Tower Rising Flames. So I was interested in this game when it originally launched, but I wasn't planning to back it. And the only reason for that was that I hadn't looked into it and I hadn't really had the time. But I ended up watching a video on 𝗚𝗵𝗲𝗍𝗀𝗀 channel, and if you really want to lose some money, check it out because he's really convincing. If anyone asked me, I'd probably recommend going for the standard edition because it is pretty reasonably priced, and the deluxe one I think is a little bit expensive. But I do what I want and I don't always listen to my own advice, so I'm going all in because I want that mini expansion. There still is a lot of time left on this campaign, so I'll definitely be coming back to take a closer look, check out the updates, and reassess my pledge. And I'll always recommend that you do that as well for any games that you're planning to back. And that's all I have for you today, so remember to keep that shelf cluttered and the table full.